Hello and welcome to the Complete Lakers podcast. I'm Anthony Wilson, recording from Los Angeles, California. Just one day, not even 24 hours after I got on here lamenting just how little sports news there's been like major sports news, there's been to talk about in the last, almost 3 weeks since LeBron announced that he was signing with the Sixers. Uh, Wednesday morning has produced two major headlines out of the NBA. One is that Russell Westbrook has officially announced his retirement from the NBA. I'll get to that in just a moment. I'll do a full career retrospective on the great Brody. But earlier Wednesday morning, it was this news that everybody was shocked to wake up to, which is that the Lakers are being sold. This now comes just, it was June of last year when it was announced that the Lakers were being sold from the Buss family, who had owned the Lakers for 46 years. They sold to Mark Walter for $10 billion. The sale was finalized in October, and now just less than a year after that, the Lakers are being sold again. Ramona Shelburne broke the news uh, via ESPN, and I'm going to read now from her report. She wrote, "The Los Angeles Lakers are being sold to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for $12.5 billion, a record-breaking price," multiple sources told ESPN. The businessmen were involved in the expansion process in Las Vegas, but in a stunning turn, they pivoted to make an aggressive offer to buy the Lakers from Mark Walter, who purchased a controlling interest in the team from the Buss family last year for a then record franchise valuation of approximately $10 billion. Quote, as lifelong NBA fans, we are deeply honored for the opportunity to become stewards of the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most iconic sports franchises in the world. We have immense respect for the leadership and vision of Jerry and Jeanie Buss, Kushner and Iger said in a statement. Our long-term commitment is to build on that foundation, compete at the highest level, and serve this extraordinary team, its fans, and the city of Los Angeles. Walter, the CEO and chair of Diversified Holding Company TWG Global, has been the Lakers' majority owner since October when his deal was unanimously approved by the NBA. Owning the Los Angeles Lakers has been one of the great honors of my life, an extraordinary investment, but I will carry with me is the community, the fans, and a city that treats this team as a family, Walter said in a statement. I am grateful to Jeanie Buss, the Buss family, the players, and the staff for welcoming me into this chapter. The Lakers belong to Los Angeles, and I have every confidence the best is still ahead. The sale will need approval from the NBA's Board of Governors, and that process can take several weeks. The next board meeting is set for September in New York. Luka Doncic, the Lakers franchise cornerstone, especially after the departure of LeBron James, said on social media that he looks forward to meeting Kushner and Iger. Being a Laker means everything to me, and I'm excited to get back on the court and bring a championship to LA. I've gotten used to big changes over these last few years, but I know that no matter what, there is no limit to the potential of this iconic franchise, Doncic posted to X. I look forward to meeting Josh and Bob so we can get to work building something special in LA together. Walter and TWG Global have interest in multiple professional sports organizations, including the Dodgers, the Sparks, also the Los Angeles Sparks, Premier League club Chelsea, and the Professional Women's Hockey League. Through TWG Motorsports, Walter owns several auto racing teams, including Cadillac Formula One. Walter, 66, is selling only the Lakers in his transaction, sources told ESPN. Walter, who built his financial empire in the insurance industry, is under federal investigation for alleged tax fraud by other companies tied to the billionaire. Bloomberg reported in July that U.S. prosecutors in Manhattan are examining whether Delaware Life Insurance Company and Clear Spring Life and Annuity Company, two insurers controlled by Walter, failed to disclose that their private credit holding backed other Walter-controlled ventures. The Securities and Exchange Commission is running a parallel investigation, according to the report. Kushner, 41, founded venture capital firm Thrive Capitalist and is the co-founder and vice chairman of Oscar Health. Kushner, who is the brother of President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, runs Thrive Eternal, the investment fund to which FIFA wanted to sell a majority stake to run its World Cup tournaments for $4.2 billion. FIFA President Gianni Infantino withdrew that proposal earlier this month. Um, Kushner holds a minority stake in the Miami Heat and previously was a minority owner of the Memphis Grizzlies. He will have to sell his stake in the Heat to clear the way for the Lakers purchase. Iger, 75, was succeeded this year as Disney CEO by Josh D'Amaro, ending his second term in the role. In 2024, along with his wife Willow Bay, he became the controlling owner of NWSL team Angel City FC. So, right. So, shout out to Ramona for, always, she's like the dean right now of LA, or at least Lakers sports reporting. But yes, just like I said, a stunner. The Lakers were, obviously, now when this, the news, I think came out, it was last month, about Walter being under investigation. That was just something that everybody was just kind of waiting and seeing what was going to happen with that. And now this happens. Obviously, Kushner, there was a whole situation that that happened with FIFA. So they were trying to, buy a stake in that. They're also trying to, the situation in Las Vegas where NBA is adding expansion teams in Las Vegas and Seattle. They were trying to get in on that. I was listening to Ramon on ESPN this morning, and she was saying basically that pretty much it's just, I guess it was so pricey, whatever it's going to cost to own that team in Las Vegas, that they just said, well, shoot, we'll just call Mark Walter up and see if it, but obviously the way this looks, that Walter, they're on his behind over whatever this situation is with the fraud or whatever, and that basically, who knows? Anytime you have Donald Trump involved, and you already had the situation with FIFA. It appears that obviously his son-in-law's brother was looking to buy some type of major sports brand, if you will, and if the FIFA thing fell through, which it did, and then the Las Vegas thing fell through. Because I guess it seems like it just was going to be too expensive. And then with Mark Walter being under investigation, they looked into Mark Walter and said, hey, you willing to try to get out from under this? And he sold. Now, of course, since he's been being investigated by, technically, I guess, the Trump's administration, right? That people look and try to make conspiracies out of that. And it's easy to do, but yeah, definitely a fascinating situation. I was just saying the other day how, because the Lakers, they're not going to be on opening night play on opening night for the first time since LeBron's first year here, and people are saying, well, the Lakers were just Lakers not as big without LeBron, right? And I was saying, well, man, maybe the Lakers under Mark Walter, they're trying to pivot out of the history of the Lakers being more than just a franchise. You think of the Lakers and it's it's big personalities and big characters and all the things that come with that. And if you read these books that certain authors have written on the Lakers, like Jeff Pearlman and Mark Heisler and Uran Weitzman, it's all the behind the scenes stuff is just as juicy and just as compelling as the stuff that happened on the court. And you're starting to look and go, well, maybe it's just not as compelling anymore, with Luka being, I guess, maybe not as much of a, I don't know. I mean, time will tell. But obviously with LeBron and Kobe and Magic, you go back to Wilt and West and Baylor. I mean, like as I said yesterday, Mark Heisler called them strung out performance freaks. So you're talking about big names and big personalities and all the different stuff that comes with that, and that's part of what has helped make the Lakers the Lakers. And I was saying that the Dodgers are, who obviously Mark Walter also owns and still owns, they're become the biggest brand in baseball, the most successful team. They've won back-to-back. They just made another trade for Tariq Skubal, but pretty much, it's not like, they haven't been like the, the Yankees back in the day, when the Yankees were the face of baseball, and it was, under George Steinbrenner, and it was, back in the 80s, in the 70s with Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson and the boss Steinbrenner, and then on through his tenure. Well, that's kind of what the Lakers were like under Dr. Buss. But now this is, and then even including, into the Jeannie era with her brothers and all the different stuff that went on. And now it's kind of like a new day, and you're thinking, okay, well, because the Dodgers have been like just a very just a well-run organization with a lot of money that outspends everybody, and then but they also reinvest their money better than anybody else does, and win a lot of games, win World Series. They won 3 under Mark Walters' leadership, and then no very clean-cut team. If you know what I mean, and you've seen what the Lakers. I said before, the Lakers are being gentrified. There's a lot of white guys on this team. The 2 best players are white. The 3rd best player is white. So there, it was the image was. It's not the Lakers. There have been some like necessarily. There have been some scandals, yeah, but it's not like the Lakers. It's not even like the Jailblazers back in the day, or the Raiders. Under Al Davis, they didn't have that image. But just a franchise that has, like I said, big personalities, big characters. And I was thinking, well, maybe the Lakers under this new ownership are starting to pivot from that. And then just it turned out that maybe the ownership now is like, they're the characters now. And now so Mark Walters out, now you bring in Kushner, that name, anytime you hear that name, you think about Donald Trump. So who knows what it's going to be like now, But yeah. And in a certain sense, it almost feels like the Lakers are kind of in flux a little bit. If you think about the last 2 days, but we just have to put all our trust in Luka and all our trust in the brand. But it is kind of abrupt because, like I said, the Dodgers were being. I'm sorry, I keep saying the Dodgers because you think about Mark Walter. They changed the way things were being done. It was changing from the old family way of the Buss family, small mom and dad mom and pop organization, to big. I mean, of course, Lakers were big business, but you're talking about now this guy Mark Walter, the pockets he has. You got to remember the Lakers historically under Buss, the Lakers that was the family business. And now you're talking about these guys with these big bucks from other places, these venture capitalists and insurance firms, and all these billions and billions of dollars that they have. Dr. Buss, when he bought the team for I think it was like $70 million or something like that. I forgot what it was. He was an investor. He was a real estate titan in L.A. And then he, cashed that out and bought the Lakers, and the Lakers became the business. These guys, Mark Walter, and then you talk about Kushner, and it's funny because I was listening to Lakers Nation, and Trevor Lane was talking about it. I think he was saying that Tiger's only worth like $600-700 million. So most of this, this is going to be Jared Kushner's, Josh Kushner's team, basically. I don't know why they make, because Iger, I guess he, with Disney, ESPN, able to kind of soften it because you think of Kushner, like I said, you think of Trump. Anytime you hear that name, even though it's not the son-in-law, it's the brother of the son-in-law, but still, And like I said, the whole FIFA thing and the whole thing. So, yeah, it's definitely this is one of those another one of those days in Lakers history, right? And it comes just a year and some change since the big announcement of the sale, which was just months after the Luka trade. So, yeah, well, we'll just have to see what happens going forward. All right, now I want to transition now. I mentioned Russell Westbrook at the beginning. Just in the last hour, he has announced his retirement from basketball, from the NBA. Incredible career. This man's resume is absolutely insane. Charged after 18 seasons and 1,300 games played. Drafted 4th out of UCLA in 2008, where he played 2 seasons and played in 2 Final Fours. So, I was in high school when Ben Howland was rebuilding UCLA into, a power. those years from 2004 through, like, I think the last Final Four was 2008, and then it tailed out. So from 2006 2008, UCLA made the Final Four. 2006 they lost to 2006 they lost to Florida in the final, right? And then in 2007, that was Westbrook's freshman year. He came off the bench, and they lost to Florida again, I think, wasn't it? But it was in the Final Four. And then next year they lost to Memphis. That was in the right. I mean, in the semifinal in 2007, 2008. So he played in two semifinals with UCLA, and then he enters the draft. He's drafted by the Thunder, and he has an incredible tenure there. 11 seasons that he played with the Thunder. And as I said, in total, he played 18 seasons. His career averages were 21 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 1.6 steals. His shooting splits were 44% from the field, 77% from the free throw line. Only a 31% shooter from the three-point line. Never really much of a three-point shooter. Shot too many threes, I think most people would say. And he turned the ball over a lot because he really wasn't a true point guard. He's one of these new age point guards where just whoever the best guard is, they just have the ball all the time, right? He had an 11-year peak between his year 3 through year 13, and year 12 was in Houston. Year 13 he was in Washington, and then 11 years, of course, the previous years he had been in OKC. And that 11-year peak, he averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 1.8 steals. He was the league MVP in 2017. That was the year after Kevin Durant left for the Warriors after OKC blew that 3-1 lead to the Warriors in 2016 in the conference finals. He led the league in PR that year. Westbrook did. He was second in PR in 2015. He was third in PR in 2016. He was top 10 from 2011 through 2013, and then he was 11th in 2018. He has a triple-double 4 times in 5 years between 2017 and 2020. He made first-team All-NBA twice in 2016 and 2017. He made second-team 5 times, then he made third-team twice. He played 135 playoff games and averaged 23, 7, and 7. And in his career, in total, he had scored over 27,000 points, collected over 9,000 rebounds, handed over 10,000 assists, accumulated more than 2,000 steals, and set a record with 205 triple-doubles. So this man's resume, this is one of the best resumes of any basketball player of the last 20 years. And, of course, the only thing missing was that NBA championship ring. With the closest he came, he made the finals once in 2012 with the Thunder. And in his later years, I'll talk a little bit more about his Lakers tenure, of course, in a second. But then he was with the Clippers, and they couldn't get over the hump. He was with Denver. They couldn't get over the hump. Last year, he finished his career with Sacramento, one of the worst teams in basketball. Obviously, Denver did get over the hump before him, but they couldn't get back over the hump with him. And yeah, that Lakers tenure, man, is going to be outside of his the OKC years with Durant, and then winning the MVP and that couple years with Paul George. That Lakers tenure, which is only a year and a half, is going to be among the most talked about periods of his career, because he comes here. The thing at the time was, well, this is what LeBron wants. I don't know if you guys remember back then the video of LeBron and Westbrook. I don't know if they were in LeBron's house or Westbrook's house, but somewhere out there, in LA, in Beverly Hills or Bel Air or Brentwood or wherever it was. And Westbrook comes, it doesn't work out at all. It's a complete disaster. I think Carmelo was on that. Was Carmelo on that team? Was Carmelo on that Westbrook team? I forget. It was Carmelo on the 2021 team. I forget. But yeah, it's a complete disaster. And then We missed the playoffs. I think the Lakers went 34-4, 33-49 that year, something like that. Then he comes back the next year, and at the midway through the season, he's traded for um, D'Angelo Russell, and yeah, and then by then I think he was already coming off the bench by then, and then he spent the rest of his career coming off of the bench, at least in Denver and with the Clippers, and still a useful player. I thought that he would be. I said on here that I thought that Miami would be a good landing spot for him if they didn't get LeBron. He's one of those guys, like I said. When Cuffs of Legend said once about Steve Smith, 89, he said, number 89, Smitty will never be washed. And I think Westbrook was like that. Which you're talking about a rare athlete in Russell Westbrook, somebody who even at 37, 38 years old, he's still one of the best athletes in basketball, just raw explosiveness. And he was always very durable, was very rarely injured. I think the only time I think 2013 was the only time he wasn't wasn't healthy. 2013 or 14, I forget which year it was. And so I think it was 2013. I forget. But yeah, if nothing else, you could always rely on Russell Westbrook to be available, to give his best effort. And he did that for a long time, man, for 18 years. And he came from the crib. He's from LA, and I had a buddy, because everybody on the podcast, we went to Daniel Murphy High School. Everybody who appears on the channel, except for Jason Wolf. But the guys that do the other podcasts with the Lakers podcast, this podcast technically that I'm speaking on right now, we all went to Daniel Murphy High School, and we got a buddy named Jason Anderson. He was a year younger than us, and he said that that Murphy played against Westbrook went to Lusinger. I think it's how you say it. I'm not even sure how you say it. But he said that they played against Lusinger, however you say it, when Westbrook was there. And I asked Big Mitch. Big Mitch said I think he didn't remember, but that's what Jason Anderson said. But that was just going to show that Westbrook wasn't necessarily I don't know at what point he became somebody who was on UCLA's radar, but I guess it wasn't when Murphy played them, when we played them, right? Because if he was, Big Mitch would remember, hey, I played against Russell Westbrook in high school. So his name obviously wasn't ringing out like that at that point. So, yeah. But yeah, an incredible career. Like I said, when I was in high school, that, like I said, that was when Ben Howland was rebuilding UCLA up to their standard, and we would be out on the basketball court after school, and we'd be saying, we would do the UCLA clap, the UCLA, UCLA. I think that's how it went, and we would do that. So anybody who comes from LA, I automatically root for it. And the fact that he went to UCLA too, which is of course the premier historic LA basketball program at university level. It's almost like I look at all these guys and we're the same age. Like, I look at all these guys like they're my kids, though. Kevin Love, even though Kevin Love is more from he's not from LA. He's like, I think up north, kind of a little bit more, or like in between LA and the north area, like Sacramento. I think Kevin Love is from, but still, him being in going to UCLA, I just take a lot of pride because I was young back then, and I still had hopes and dreams, and I was looking at these guys, and I was like, these are my peers, and they're doing great things, and they're, representing the hometown. So, yeah, man, congratulations to the great Westbrook. I really do wish that his Lakers tenure had worked out a little bit better. But yeah, man, he had an incredible career. And you just think about that period of players, man, from LeBron, the LeBron Carmelo draft, and then a couple years later, Chris Paul, and then Durant in '07, Westbrook in '08, Harden in '09. All those guys are pretty much now. I mean, who's left besides LeBron, Harden, KD? It's like an era is coming to an end, and it kind of like with Westbrook retiring, it kind of just puts that in clear view more than maybe even like some of the other guys who already retired. You know, hit some harder than me probably because, like I said, me and Westbrook the same age, came out of high school the same year. So yeah, man, congratulations to Russell Westbrook on an amazing career, and I can't wait 4 years from now when he's inducted into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot, which of course he will be. But yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today. So before I get out of here, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button next to TC Pod Network, and to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network. You can also send feedback and mailbag questions to Complete Lakers Podcast at gmail.com. I am out.